My name is Father Constantine Nasr. I am a ninth generation priest from Jerusalem. In fact, I was born in Jerusalem in 1944. My father came to the United States in 1954 in order to raise funding for the refugees, Palestinian refugees who were expelled from Israel, from Palestine, after the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. And by the grace of God, my father did accomplish his responsibility, and he saw the opportunity to bring us to the United States to study, and we are here in this blessed land of America. Nevertheless, as a Christian, as an Arab, as a Palestinian, I see the difficulties that I have heard so much from my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather. It goes back to the last century, the beginning of the 1900s. Christians, Muslims, and Jews have lived together in harmony for centuries. In fact, if one studies the history of the Jewish people, one will feel sad and very upset to know that the Jewish people, wherever they went, whether they were in Spain or in England or in Russia or in Germany or in Italy, through the centuries, one can study their persecution. They were persecuted. And one will feel sorry for that. And nevertheless, when we see what happened to the Palestinian people, we see the Palestinian people have been persecuted on the expense of the creation of the State of Israel and gathering the Jewish people from all parts of the world to build a bridge between the East and the West, between the colonial period of the British and the French to the Far East. And as you study the history, many Palestinians have been deprived from their homeland, war after war after war. I have developed an exhibit to explain the coexistence of the three people, Christian, Muslims, and Jews, prior to the influx of various Jews that have come with different ideologies into that part of the world. And I hope that we can bring a better understanding for the suffering Palestinians. As we live in America, we live in the country of Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, James Adams, liberty, equality, justice for all, and the Palestinian people are the only people who have been deprived from their livelihood. In fact, since the Oslo Accord till today, even Annapolis Accord just recently, many settlements have been built and expanded, and about 700 or so checkpoints, humiliation, isolation, destructions, a war, and Palestinians are not a free people. And the problem of that, you put a lion in a cage, and in due time, that lion will fight to get out. And Palestine, whether it is on the West Bank or whether it is in Gaza, in a big, big prison. I believe there is a chance for coexistence between the Palestinians and the Jewish people. But if there is a continuation of the extremism of ideologies to take all of the land of Palestine, that will be unacceptable and will be an ongoing war, and a tragedy upon a tragedy upon a tragedy. Jewish mother, just like a Palestinian Arab mother, will cry and weep, and people are tired. Our responsibility as Christians and our responsibility as people who listen to the history and study the history, we need to become more compassionate. We need to exert our wisdom and our appeal to our government to play an even-handed policy, in that part of the world. the ideology of Zionism really is an ideology that does not speak about all the Jewish people. In fact, there are various sects of Jews, among them Natori Karta, which over millions some Jews who believe in the purity of the Torah, who desire a spiritual renaissance to live in purity and righteousness according to the book of Torah, for the anticipation of the coming of the Messiah. Of course, if you do not know the history, only you see the media from one point of view, your judgment is from that point of view, and nobody can blame you. You only can walk in the light you hold in your hand. But history has been secretly buried, so not to expose. And one may ask a question, why the Jewish people have suffered in Spain, in England, in Russia at the beginning of 1800, that have left an influx of many Jews to Europe, and the guilt on European people is to create a homeland for the Jewish people on the expense of the Palestinians. Jewish Arabs have lived in peace in the Middle Eastern world. Now there is a state of Israel. As a Palestinian, I want to have peace. There will be hopefully two-state solution where opportunity of coexistence between two people. They cannot live away from each other. Killing each other, that will not resolve the problem. But coexistence as before, that's a great possibility. It requires reason and sacrifice. I have a property, 28 acres of land has been confiscated. There's a settlement on it. Well, I don't mind for that settlement to be evacuated, who the Jewish people live in it, and bring Palestinians maybe who are in camps to live on the West Bank. All of us have to sacrifice something for peace in that part of the world. My understanding, there's close to 14 million Christians from Egypt to Iraq, from Syria to Lebanon, from Jordan to Palestine, from Palestine to inside Israel. These also, the Christians, are the forgotten people. I live in the village of Taibi, Ephraim in the Bible. It's the only Christian village actually that totally Christian. And that village called, as I say, Ephraim, that's where Jesus withdrew after raising Lazarus from the dead. It's a beautiful village. Like you are living in Alaska, in 15 minutes you are in Jericho. Patience can conquer all. Perseverance can conquer over all. And I believe there are good people in that part of the world who pray for peace, desire peace, and need to be encouraged. We pray for our President Obama and the administration and all of the people of goodwill to exert their wisdom, their guidance, encouragement to find a solution to that society that have not seen peace since early 1900. Jewish people need to have a place to live. I agree. They should not be persecuted. Palestinians likewise should not be persecuted. And you cannot solve one problem on the expense of another. I think we have come to the realization that only love, that only sacrifice on our journey make this possible. I pray that God will intervene and bring peace to these three people, Christians, Muslims, and Jew, in a land that's called holy. I wish it will be the state of the Holy Land.